glare. Is it good? Is it still good?
Uh, yeah, it looks still good.
Okay, good. Okay.
Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you today with a big podcast with BJ Schuerger, aka at War for You Law. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. Commenting, liking, subscribing is a free way to help support the channel. Non-free ways are Patreon. Smashing that super thanks button down below. Just so y'all know, BJ Schuerger graduated from Capital University in 2006, the Ohio State University, BA Political Science in 01, BA History in 01, and he is Ohio Bar Association, Columbus Bar Association, Ohio Athletic Commission Chairman, Columbus Council of World Affairs, and has recently gone on and launched War for You Law, his most recent business venture. How are you, BJ?
Good. You, Randy?
I'm doing all right.
You know, that story from when we first met still sticks in my mind when you were talking about the ghosts in Tiffin, Ohio.
Oh yeah.
So that's how we connected at DesignerCon, man.
Yeah, let's take the people back to that in 2021 November. Up until that time, until I met you and Ernie, I'd really never met anyone else from Ohio outside that. My friend Patty was visiting her then girlfriend at the time, and her parents, her name was Sabrina. Her parents were building a house next to a barn that they owned, and we saw something really crazy. I completely opted out and told you about that for a good couple minutes. So that wasn't your first impression of. I guess that was your first impression of me live, but you and Ernie had seen my videos before then, right?
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. Exactly. We were prepping up. You obviously were somebody who we really listened to as we were going into DesignerCon. Began to jump into the into OMI and the VV verse, and our good friend Ernie obviously accelerated the gas and took that to the and every actually was meeting you, Randy, and the inspiration you brought that really propelled the inspiration for the vision for us to jump in with 2 feet the way we have, and the way that we kind of see how the VV verse is going to touch all of us in many different ways. It's just so exciting to be a part of it.
Yeah, you guys are obviously successful people in general way before this. When you guys had stumbled upon this, were you looking for the hashtag, all right, metaverse? Were you looking for the hashtag NFT? How did you guys stumble upon one of my videos?
You know what? I remember we were just sitting in Ernie's office, and he had he had just gotten Wi-Fi on the TV, and he said, "Hey, there's this maniac who's got this channel." And he's talking about Veve and OMI, and it's what we're doing. And you and Randy, you were one of the only authentic voices at the time that kind of had a real message, right? I mean, you're putting your money where your mouth was. You were a part of it. Some of the other people that we were listening to and watching were good talkers, but you could tell that they had also other interests at the same time. While we knew that you were all in, and we could tell that. We had no idea till we saw you at the bar. It was the who was the gentleman? Taps Trade.
Yeah,
was one of the original ones we would watch. I remember when we were at that bar restaurant at the hotel at DesignerCon. I looked over. I said, Ernie, that's Taps Trades. I said, that's the guy we're watching all the time. I said, I'm going to go over and say hello to him. I go over and say hello to him, but you're sitting right next to him. I said, that's Randy Chavez. I mean, what the heck? We had no idea what to expect when we literally jumped on a plane and went out there on a whim to see what was going on, and met both of you, and both of you were, the energy was just infectious. How's Taps doing?
He's good. So in the last year, last 10 months, he's gotten married, gotten into a new place. He's got a dog. He's in a bowling league. He's just living his best life. So the reason why he kind of stepped away.
Yeah, I remember he had a consistent show going.
Yeah, he was great. He got Tom Bilyeu on. He's really into the field. He works in the industry, and he had a new job that he had just started in late 2022, give or take, and he's making a lot of money. And just the incentive to kind of do YouTube is not really there when you're making a lot, multiple 6 figures a year. Probably shouldn't have even said that. The incentivization to come to YouTube and make a couple grand a month, it just isn't really there. But he still holds his OMI. He hasn't. That's like the one thing he hasn't sold. So he's a swing trader in general, which has been great. Whether it's in bull market or bear market, swing trading can make you a lot of money. He's very intelligent. He's good at it for the most part. But OMI is actually the one thing he's never sold. He's only accumulated more, which is very nice to hear. But
he's
yeah,
come a long
he's doing
way
well.
from that one-bedroom show he used to have to where he is now, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, he still has his man cave with his cosplay stuff in the background.
Okay.
But yeah, it was great to go, and I still catch up with him every now and then, depending on what he's doing.
Yeah, because you guys shared a room that trip. That was, again, you guys say kind of, you put that bag over your shoulder and headed out there because he's from there, so it was an easy trip for him down.
Yeah, we shared a room multiple times, and then people keep having this joke where the last stream, his last online appearance was on my show in a tub stream. So what we were doing at the time, these couple like harem of girls that were like with us, so it was like, oh hey, we need to like have a spa day, and we need to go in and put cucumbers in our eyes, do like a face mask or whatever. But then like it didn't happen that way. They just kind of dropped off the stuff, and then we went to party. And then one night when we got like frozen pizzas that we had microwaved, or we had to microwave downstairs, like, hey, do you want to use like the face mask stuff? Do you want to like take like
can't waste it, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, sure. And then we just did a podcast, and that's the last time anyone's seen him online. So people was like, oh, he was in Randy Chavez's tub stream, and then he's never to be seen again.
Exactly. Like, yeah. No one's ever heard from him again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have those Tristan Eaton prints actually on my wall over here. I got them framed from that. I think that's number. You already got number 4. I might got number 8 of the of that Marvel, of those Marvel characters that he did, those prints that he did at the that designer con.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That was in 2021. It was great times. We have. So are you coming to San Diego Comic-Con in July?
Actually, actually, when you brought it up on your show the other night, I said, hey, we got to go, So I think we are going to be. I think he and I will be headed out there. Good.
There'll be multiple reasons to go. I think
it sounds like it's at a different place. Is that the convention center? I thought you guys said it was somewhere else in San Diego.
For San Diego, it's right across from.
Yeah, Anaheim is where the designer con was.
Yes.
And I said, we've got to get to San Diego. That's a place, that would be great to go to the comic.
Yeah. So have you ever been to a large con like San Diego or New York?
Comic Con we came out to last year for the party in New York.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. By the time we got in late, so we didn't get to the con, but we got to the party.
Yeah, which was great. Another reason to have a gold and silver VV logo to get priority.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I can attest.
So for San Diego, it's a little different than New York because it's right across the street from Padres Stadium, and it takes over like the whole town for a good 5 or 6 blocks outwards, west, east, or not west, east, north, and south. Obviously, if you go farther west, you get into the ocean. But it's a beautiful place. Everyone's in cosplay. It's really wild. I can't wait for you guys to see it. It's a good time.
You're gonna have to convince. You're gonna have to tell us what cosplay we need to jump into for so we don't stand out.
So I mean, you could do a couple of things. Like for 2 guys, maybe like Walt and Jesse from Breaking Bad. You guys could do any type of number of like superheroes or villains.
Well, War for You Law, I'm sure I'll be maybe do Better Call Saul, right? Yeah.
You should. Which, by the way, I know I don't have you for a ton of time. Tell me about. I've seen your Instagram videos. Some of them are very interesting. They're very entertaining. Tell me about what War for You Law is and why people should be excited about it.
War for You, War for You emanated from, really seeing out there. I was in the state legislature for a period of time. I've been on the other side as a lobbyist, understanding how the corporations, insurance companies really stack the deck against the individual particularly when it comes to personal injury. Insurance companies this year have had record profits. There's a reason for that. Premiums go up, payouts go down. And unless you have somebody who knows what they're doing as an attorney to fight against them, if you're really hurt, you're not going to get compensated, and you're not going to get help in your medical injury. So in creating War for You Law with my partner, Alexander Schuerger, Schuerger has been one of the preeminent personal injury lawyers down in the southeast part of the United States. I kind of bring in that Midwest sharp elbow outlook on things, and we formed a partnership, and really it's meant to really drive an emotional reaction in people and understanding that you need somebody in your corner, and don't be afraid to reach out and give us a call. And that's kind of the message that I want to get across to people is I understand how the other side plays. And that's why, I fight every day in terms of doing what we do to help people out, because the insurance companies have the lobbyists, the insurance companies have the money. But when you, as a person who works a 9-to-5 job, gets hurt, if you don't have an attorney helping you, the system will tear you apart. And that's why we're here to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Omar saying that you'd be a perfect Saul Goodman because he saw the videos on Instagram.
Thank you, Omar.
Yeah. Oh, so Omar. Yeah, because his friend that was over in what part of the world again was that in?
Mongolia.
Mongolia. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's a world away, but yeah, that's a
no. I mean, I would love to come visit Mongolia at some point. In talking to Omar's friend, I mean, it sounds like some interesting opportunities there.
Yeah.
In the future.
Yeah. You have a lot of business ties being on the U.S. Qatar Summit, U.S. China Business Columbus, Ohio Summit. What do you know about Mongolia? Outside of Mongolian beef, I know next to nothing about Mongolia.
Mongolia is obviously the fields of Genghis Khan. When you look at sort of ancient history, world history, and then it's sort of still an independent country, rural part of northern China. So, Mongolia has a lot of opportunity because it's plentiful in resources. It's plentiful in farmland. You have a lot of rare earth companies that are there seeking minerals. You have a lot of agriculture that's there, a lot of food that feeds into the Chinese market, particularly Omar's friend who has a cattle farm. Amazing when he sent me the video of what he does there. So Mongolia definitely, it's an isolated place, but a place of great people and opportunity. I've been to China many times, been up near the Mongolian border a number of times. It just, wherever you are in the world, people, people like people. There's no question wherever you are, whatever the language barrier is. And that's what I've learned in all my travels is that humanity is kind. If you're kind, if you give back and are kind to it.
I want to read you something that I wrote yesterday. I had to go to the DMV for something because I had to get my car reinsured, and it was saying, "It is on this day that I realize we might be able to learn something from our local DMV. There is every race of people here from every walk of life, and together in this line, in the cold, we are beyond race and beyond culture. We are united in our mutual hatred against the DMV. And maybe I was wrong. I once believed that love is the answer above all else. But after being here for 30 minutes with no line movement, I've been disabused of this notion. So let me ask you this. Do you really believe that love and kindness is the answer? Or do you believe that us as humans need a mutual enemy to hate? And that might be the only way for us to have world peace."
Wow. That's, and you're right. There's mutual frustration across all cultures when it comes to the DMV. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, whatever party you are, the DMV is always going to be an enemy that's going to be targeted, probably more so than communism. But as we've seen throughout world history and throughout time, having a common enemy to rally around and rally against has always been a motivating factor in bringing nations, cultures, tribes together. So regardless of what, of the good in humanity, history has shown that humanity alone can exist without an enemy.
What are so as someone that's done business in China, traveled to China, been a fan of just their people and their culture and their food. The food is great. What is the best thing right now that either President Biden can do or that maybe President Trump can do in the future if he's elected for U.S.-China relations?
I think one of the things that's critical in the conversation with China is there has to be a mutual respect within the conversation. Whatever, and it goes two ways. It's similar to what we're talking about with the TikTok ban here in the United States. One of the talking, not talking points, but one of the realities is Twitter, Facebook, some of the similar platforms that we have here in the United States are not allowed in China. They're banned by China because they're U.S. companies and they're not Chinese companies. Whereas TikTok obviously is a Chinese-owned company that we allow to do business here in the United States. So, that's one issue. Then you have, on the other foot, if I think sometimes we preach morality to other countries when we don't practice it. And I think the Chinese, as they have been growing, want to be treated as a equal and not as an inferior. I mean, China obviously has been a country that has moved from the late 19th century to the early 20th century. Their acceleration of technology has essentially squished 100 years into 10 when you talk about an agrarian society that suddenly participated in the largest and the fastest urbanization in human history. They want a seat at the table of kind of a mutual respect. So I think that's kind of important in order to have that. And sometimes I think that gets lost. I think the Chinese politics, I think the leaders understand that when it comes to U.S. elections, there are certain things said and done in terms of as we would use in the pro wrestling arena, the kayfabe of politics and things that are maybe said publicly that might not be done privately, happen. I think that they understand that. Now, obviously, the Chinese Communist Party and Chinese politics is much different, where there's no such thing as kayfabe and give and take. If you come across too harsh publicly, you'll be cut down. Where obviously here, I think U.S. politics has become more of a personality game than a policy game, so to speak.
Yeah, that's true. So there's a bill to ban TikTok that's going to go on the Congress floor tomorrow, and it seems like, just kind of building on your premise, that China's technological capabilities have gone from 0 to 100 very quickly. But I do also want to comment that their politicians are more technologically literate than U.S. politicians for the most part. However, I will say that a lot of the reasons why they have a lot of this technology is because they do reverse engineer it from the U.S. You have half the U.S. PhD candidates are from the U.S. The other half are foreign-born. A decent percentage is from China. How does the U.S. stay competitive, and how does the U.S. keep out innovating? What is their best bet to continue to beat China in the next coming decades?
Well, I think we have to invest in science. We have to invest in our young leaders. We have to put the dollars behind educating and getting more young people involved in those areas. One of the things that the Chinese do, the Chinese country does very well, is that they make sure that resources are pumped into training your young people into certain sectors that make them strong. Now, again, that's one of the freedoms that we have in this country that makes us still, even if you go to China, go to Brazil, go to Japan, go anywhere in the world, Russia, the person on the street will still hug you as an American and still want to come to this country. Yes. So regardless of the tough things that we go through right now, we are still the beacon of excellence for everybody in the world. Now, I do think that China wants to get there, right? Yeah. But they, one of the things where they get into trouble is they do not nurture innovation, because innovation is about disruption. Disruption is not about control. Yeah. The United States, on the other hand, encourages disruption when it comes to innovation.
Yeah.
We're one of the few countries in the world that allows bankruptcies, right? We allow people to take chances, fail, and come back again. Other countries, if you go bankrupt, you're done. There's no second chance. You go to debtor's prison and it's over. Here in the United States, we encourage that. And it's one of the reasons why, like, as we talk about the whole crypto evolution, why I was nervous that that we were going to get too regulatory in crypto and lose that innovation, and that crypto innovation will go to other places. But again, disruption is Bitcoin, right? So to speak, when you talk about currency.
Yeah.
China at one point in time had the largest Bitcoin mining in the world.
Yeah.
They shut it down. And now Bitcoin's at an all-time high. Had they not shut it down, who knows what the coffers of the Chinese government would be if they would have understood that this is not necessarily a bad thing. But again, disruption means loss of control. So when you look at those two aspects, I think that's, you're coming from two different places. And that's where I think we will still be ahead of them, because they will still rely on our innovation in order to help propel their evolution. Now, maybe a decade, maybe decades from now, that changes, because the scientists that they're training now, the young population, that generation, as they come up, they may become, they will potentially be disruptors. And who knows what happens after, the current Communist Party is in power. One thing about the United States, that every 4 years we have an election. Every 4 years we have a potential chance for disruption. Every 4 years we have a potential chance for innovation. In China, that's not the case. If you look at the leaders before President Xi, they welcomed American corporate investment, American Western investment. I think President Xi wants foreign investment. He wants Western investment. But I think that he and his cohorts are taking a look at what does that do. Now, I do also think one of the interesting dynamics of TikTok are what America was accused of for 20, 30 years, even more, is that we exported our morality through entertainment, through products into other countries, where people then wanted to come to America. TikTok is almost the reverse engineering, as you put, Randy, of that. Yeah. They understood, in a way, by creating TikTok, and I mean, obviously, one of the, a tremendous platform that Americans are hooked on, and almost like how foreign countries and the Chinese, other countries were hooked on our products, we're hooked on the TikTok product. So, do you ban McDonald's in Russia? Obviously, they didn't. For example, they encouraged Western products to come in. So it'll be interesting to see if the U.S. Congress here, now, we're in the political season. So unfortunately, China is an easy punching bag from a populist standpoint to make those statements from both sides of the aisle. But I do think it's important that we're very careful about not muzzling free speech at the same time that we go down this path.
Agreed. I think China, what they really did is put kind of a mirror up to America, because anyone that is into heavy metal music, and it's from all walks of life. Anyone's into conspiracy theories, anyone's into cute cat videos, anyone's into scary TikToks, scary videos. They can all, from that algorithm, based on what they like, what they comment on, is really shown, hey, what do you like? And unfortunately, for some American, I don't know which politician this was. The politician asked, like, why am I getting like these teenagers in skimpy clothes dancing on all my TikToks? And it's because he kept liking those videos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He better be careful about, what he. I hope he doesn't hold that up in the hearing and use that as an example. Yeah, those are random videos coming up on your feed, Senator.
His intern had to go be like, no, sir, no, you can't say that. So yeah, just hold up a mirror to what they are. I know you don't have a TikTok, and people are asking, like, do you have an X? I know your Instagram is War for You Law, but you will be making an X soon, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I've kind of dived into this, or have dove into this, not getting to first base, Instagram, Facebook, right? Now I'm going to move into, TikTok, moving to some the other platforms to continue to reach out to the audiences and get our message out there, and get our message out there in a way that it resonates with people. Too many times I see people in my profession where they want to talk a lot, but the words are coming out, no one's listening, nor can they understand, what they're trying to get across. And I think that these platforms allow me to get the message across in a way that I think it's real clear about what we want to do.
Agreed. So before we get into OMI, we have a bunch of people here from DeCat. DeCat,
well, thanks to you, Randy. I'm part of the DeCat family.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people.
The cat community. I'm in with you.
In crypto, Simon Hedge, the Baker, the Orange Cat, DB Crypto, all of them going and wanting a word from you. So we just released our comic, the first appearance comic, a few weeks ago. The second appearance will be in the next, hopefully, month or so. What do you want to see from someone, from a company or a project that has originally started as a meme coin, is now starting to get to utility? They have a couple of things out there. If you were in charge, what would you want to see from the project of DeCat? Do you want to see them go lean towards the meme coin for meme coin season? Do you want to go have them see, hey, what can they do as far as utility? Give us a little bit of insight of what you would want as a fan.
As a fan, I think, I think the meme coin route can garner a lot of attention. I think a lot of value then can be turned into utility. It's sort of like the two paths, right? If you do utility first, it's more difficult to get traction for value, which then in the markets that we're looking at, it can be difficult to get attention. If you go the meme route, like we saw with Doge, Shibu, you get attention. The problem with those two coins is that they did not create utility after they garnered the attention. They were just, they were unfortunately an example of why Congress was trying to regulate crypto, because they're basically, a meme coin with no value, creating essentially fake money. Yeah, and people losing, people losing a lot. Right here, one of the things I think is going to be interesting with sports betting is an example of that, where we really won't understand what gambling addiction is probably until about 5 years from now. Now that 30 states in the country have gambling in their states, 30 states in the country have the ability to get on your phone and make bets. One of the things that kept people away from that addiction, and only those who really, could do it, was either if you found the illegal bookie or you went to Las Vegas and bet, which made it more difficult for people to do it every single day, in-game betting, all that. Now you're seeing that. So it's going to be interesting to see, as more income comes in, how that affects. And that's how I think Congress looks at the meme coins. And I think it's one of the things that I'd like to see DeCat hit the meme route first with a utility plan behind it, because that's how I think we can capture the wave. That's how I think we can ride it to greatness, is when you hit both. I think it's more difficult if we try to do utility before we hit meme and that wave passes, because I think we've got some real momentum right now.
That's a good point. Speaking of gambling, I didn't do it, but on DraftKings, my friend Brittany is very, very into Taylor Swift, and I love her too, but she's like super fan. And there was a bet on DraftKings on whether she would be proposed to at the Super Bowl or not. And I didn't know what to bet, so I didn't bet at all. But people that know her be like, no, there would never be a proposal at that point. They like delve into the relationship. You are, and Bogart says Ohio gang. Planet Vampire is also in Columbus. Ohio gang. I think this guy Dino is in Dragon. He's in Ohio as well. His wife went to law school as well. Well, I'll see I'll get her name, see if you know her.
Yeah, please.
On
I barely made it through, so hopefully I didn't,
So as chairman of the Sports Commission of Ohio, what are those day-to-day duties like? What are those things that you have to go and make decisions about? And what are the cool aspects of the job as well?
Yeah, I've been on the commission for about 10 years now, chairman for about 7. We regulate pro wrestling, pro boxing, MMA, UFC, and sports agents. Ohio is rich in those, right? Logan, obviously, if you look at WWE right now, The Miz, Logan Paul, Dolph Ziggler, those guys are all from Ohio. We just announced here Tuesday that SummerSlam's coming to a Cleveland Browns Stadium in August. We have the Arnold every year here in Columbus, the largest.
Oh, that just happened.
Yeah, it just happened 2 weekends ago. My daughter was in the cheer competition at the Arnold. So Ohio is a flyover state to a certain degree, but one of the things that's unique about Ohio is you have Cleveland, Cincinnati, 2 pro sports towns. You've got the city of Columbus with the Ohio State University, largest athletic department in the country when it comes to sports. So you have a rich culture of sports in this state, and boxing, right? James Buster Douglas, the biggest upset maybe in sports history. I've got the Mike Tyson punch-out picture right behind me, signed by Mike Tyson. Buster Douglas is from Columbus, Ohio. Actually, Ernie and I just saw him the other night. We were at the Blue Jackets game.
So that's so cool.
So the day-to-day responsibilities of the commission are to make sure that events that come to Ohio are upheld to the standards of the commission. We're the ones that regulate all of the activities at those pro events. So there's 50 commissions, throughout the country. Each state has a commission. One of the things that's unique about Ohio's commission is that when UFC first started and Dana White was going around the country trying to get commissions to jump on board because no commission wanted to, because pro boxing really had a lock on the commissions. UFC was an upstart company. Ohio was one of the first commissions that actually sanctioned UFC fights and allowed them to start. So, UFC's always had a soft spot for Ohio in its heart because of that. We've also created some great champions, Matt Brown, Stipe, from the state as well.
So a couple of weeks ago, I had Josh Emmett on my podcast. He's probably going to win Knockout of the Year for 2023. Absolute just gangster, just murderer, in the ring. And I asked him, I don't know why. I was like, hey, would you ever go and have donate your time for a sparring session? I was like, yeah, sure. I was like, oh, do you want to do it for charity? And he agreed. Could we have it in Ohio? And how do we do that? How do we go and build that up?
Yeah, I mean, you could have it in Ohio. I mean, if it's a charity event and not a sanctioned pro fight, it won't be a problem.
Okay, cool. I'll let you know what we need. He's an OMI homie. He has a gold logo as well. So we'll get to introduce you at some point, whether it's in San Diego. Yeah.
I'll tell you, I think with boxing and UFC and WWE, one of the things WWE did before the merger and everything was they were trying to create their own NFTs, and it really didn't. I didn't see any traction. UFC and pro boxing really, again, you really have to be a specialist to understand this. That's one of the things I love about OMI and I love about Veve. I love about the Veve verse is that this is the community by which I think UFC, pro boxing could really emanate some success and some traction when it comes to pro sports NFTs in a community that's going to support it. Because we remember when crypto made its first run, the Pop Shots and those meme type companies were not creating a true collectible experience. There was no community around it. You were buying something that nobody else was following. The great part about Veve and what David, Dan, and the crew have done is created that community around it. Because without the community, you can't create the experience, which means you can't create the value. You got to have both.
Agreed. So you are more heavy, I'm guessing, in OMI than on Veve. I know you have that gold logo. Can you tell us why more OMI than Veve? Is it because it is easier to understand the tokenomics as opposed to being involved in 100 different licensors and 100 different fandoms? Or is it more so the fact that you've seen the wild swings that crypto can do and NFTs maybe you don't believe in at all? Let's give us a little insight on your thoughts.
So, the OMI piece I jumped into, and I vicariously have followed the collectible piece with our friend Ernie. And for me, with my day-to-day responsibilities, it was difficult for me to also do OMI and do the collectibles, hit the drops, so my goal really, and one of the things I was talking to Ernie about a few years ago, and I know we talked about a designer, kind of talked to Taps a little bit about it, but was this whole sports vertical piece. And I remember even talking and bringing it up to David when we saw him at the lunch we had with him at the last designer con. Remember when we got?
We went to lunch with David and Gary Baseman.
Yeah, Gary Baseman, exactly. Yeah. And one of the things I brought up was that sports vertical, and he said, "Hey, remember we started talking about it." And again, that's why I'm so passionate about of all the communities. This one, he's like, BJ, we have a plan. we're going to execute it when we're ready, and we will be ready. But we're, so that's hearing that from the top. Patience is what is going to make this a wild success. The leaders we have, we're used to having things right away. Whether in this culture, this time, we want something, we want gratification right now. If OMI doesn't move to 1 penny tomorrow, it's considered a failure. That's not the case. We don't want it to be a pump and dump operation, because then nobody's going to respect the community. We want the slow grow. If we're in this for the reasons that we are, which is to build the community, to build a product that's going to last, a universe that's going to be supported, we have to do it the right way. We've got to do the tokenomics the right way. We can't have people going in and getting hit on a flim-flam because it will destroy the credibility of the community. And I give Dave and Dan credit and the team for not taking the bait to do that. Because they easily could have, with the momentum they had with Disney and the other products. They easily could have made wild announcements and really pushed a pump, but they did not, because they're building something bigger. And that's what's going to outlast everything. It's the old, as we grew up learning the tales of the tortoise and the hare.
Agreed.
We're the tortoise that's going to cross the line, and the hare, a number of hares are going to be lost in the woods.
Yeah, you've already seen a bunch of them
hit by a car, right? by the time we cross that finish line.
Yeah, you've seen a bunch of them. Reeker's kind of gone. Quid's Reeker is gone. Quid is pretty much gone. Hero still has a little bit of juice left, and there's a couple of other projects that are slowly making money, and I hope they survive, because you want people in your community to thrive and grow the hobby. But we do have the first sports vertical coming out tomorrow. It's in about 11 hours, or I'm sorry, 13 hours and 23 minutes. You'll be able to get on the wait list. 13 hours and 53 minutes before you can buy. And you'll get that Joseph Parker boxing gloves, the black gloves, or the portrait, or the golden gloves, which will be great. And you have Kelly Borders and Go Tortoises. And yeah, that OMI token, which we just got on a new exchange literally today, and we'll likely get more exchanges in the future. Yeah, BitGet. And we'll get more exchanges in the future, and then we will get an easier way to access the token, likely on the app. So in the aspect of, I know obviously you have a decent amount in there. You don't have to say exactly how much. You don't have to say how much you spent. Can you say how much of your investing portfolio is in OMI, percentage-wise, whether it's 0.5%, 10%?
You mean globally or just in crypto?
We can start with just in crypto.
Yeah, I mean, I 85%.
Okay, and then globally, I'm guessing it's much lower.
Yeah. Globally, it's lower, but my crypto portfolio, I mean, I tend to try to dig in and then ride hard.
Yeah.
It now, like I was telling you, I felt like I was in a Clockwork Orange movie, because every time I would wake up or go to bed, or 24/7, Ernie had the Ernie had your podcast or Crypto Rains on. So I learned a lot about some other companies too, which I'm going to be interested in investing in now that I kind of understand better about them. So I know. So I'm looking forward to diversifying a little bit on this run. But really, one of the things the plan is if diversifying in places where there's could be some quick hits, to buy more OMI.
Yeah.
Because I think, again, in this tortoise philosophy, my outlook is on, if you have a 5-year philosophy on it, is that this is the one that's going to hit. This is the one that's going to sustain. So if you can capitalize on some big hits and then reinvest, particularly right now, where OMI's at. Obviously, I think the complications with Bit4X have caused some downward pressure on it, but it has not affected the community. It has not affected the product. It has not affected the ability for the sports vertical to kick off in 11 hours. It has not affected the ability for the jukebox and Ron English's a music vertical to take off this weekend. That's one of the things I love about OMI. I love about Veve is that even with something now, a coin that didn't have a community, a coin that didn't have the type of utility we're trying to create, would have been devastated by that type of crash on an exchange.
Agreed. And because we have other exchanges, because we have BitGet that they just announced, and like I said, they'll have more exchanges in the future, and then a way to buy it on the web app. There's a very real possibility that you have a lot more, especially because that 22 billion is essentially locked up for the next year or so. You'll likely have a big squeeze where there's so much demand for the token, and a lot of people on Bitforex, they're forced to hold because they don't have access to it. You might see a really big squeeze and a really big run up.
Well, look, if Sam Bankman-Fried could have held out a little longer, not gone to a fight with the head of Binance, he probably would have made it. Not seeing how Bitcoin has gone up, and he decided to get into a sparring contest with the head of Binance, and
yeah, bad times.
And unfortunately, the tragic part is because of that, how many millions of people felt the pain of that. And that's, that again, the one thing about David and Daniel in meeting them, the number of times I have now in being a part of this community and seeing it, is that the ego's not there. That's usually the part that is the break in the dam, the crack in the wall that brings it all down. I don't see that here with our leadership in this company at all. They're in it for the right reasons from everything I've seen, everything that they've done, and the partners that they have on board wouldn't be with us if it wasn't for that.
Agreed. And then this is also a passion project. David is having a lot of fun. Is it hard work? Is he kind of sleep deprived? Yes. But is he having a blast? Absolutely. He's being able to be with these content creators from Disney, Marvel, Universal, all these brands. He's very, very happy. And
well, and very savvy too. There's not many crypto companies. There's not many coins. There's not many metaverses that you talk about. That, for instance, the Chinese government or the Chinese would allow even a conversation to be able to. You have to be a very serious player to be even at the table to have that conversation. I don't think there's any other coin in the world, so to speak, that has that kind of credibility to be able to say, look, we're not about the speculation part of crypto. We're about building a community, within, I mean, building a community, but building a community within the entertainment sphere. We're not about robbing people in a pump and dump, which is where I think, why part of the reason why I think the Chinese government was so harsh on crypto, as we're seeing with the real estate collapse in the country. There was too much speculation going on, and there weren't enough controls there to monitor what was going on, and then people's life savings were getting wiped away.
Yeah, that's something I saw with China, is that they had I think typically if you're a woman, which there's like 90% of men versus like 10% of women over there, so women have their pick of the litter, is that women aren't going to be with a man unless they have at least one property. And the average, there are some men that even have up to like 3 properties because that's their economy. It's built on these properties that nobody lives in. But you're right. You said before that China does kind of want these Western investments, and that's why they kind of bent over backwards to let Tesla in there. I think that's also why they let Alibaba go and say, like, hey, you can sign this memorandum with Veve because we know that their intentions are pure and all that jazz. And I don't think any other crypto company or NFT company in the world can go and do that. I think we're kind of the only ones.
And that's huge. I mean, you're talking about unlocking, almost 1 billion people the opportunity to engage. And in a culture in traveling over there, their reliance on technology is even deeper than ours. The reliance on the fact that WeChat on the phone is essentially a mechanism by which daily life takes place. Groceries, banking, movies, everything you live on is on WeChat. They're much farther ahead than we are from a technological perspective. And the fact that they would even allow us in the door to be a part of that, to even attach into a WeChat type environment, means that they know we're credible players and the intentions are pure, not speculative, which again is a testament to the community and what they've done, up to this point right now.
Agreed. I know I can't give you for too long, so I'll talk to you off
No,
camera.
I mean, I'm good as long as you.
Oh, okay. So I guess kind of one last thing before we bounce. I'll just ask you: is there anything that we haven't gone over that you kind of want to go over?
No, I think we've covered a lot of ground. Yeah,
Okay.
from world politics to OMI to
Yeah.
boxing.
Uh,
I mean, we've
so
we've covered the
did you
spectrum.
ever take a look at the Summoning Salt channel that I sent you? That they had the Mike Tyson Punch Out thing.
I didn't get that. Did
Oh,
you
okay. I'll
text it to
send
me
it
or
to you
email it to
again.
me?
Yeah. Oh, it's great. Oh, I texted it to you, but I'll send it to you again
Okay.
via whatever. Basically, what they have is like you've played the Mike Tyson Punch Out, right?
No, actually, yeah, that's the picture I have right there on the wall.
Yeah, I see it.
I mean,
Which is
there's the feet in the ref.
so there are people on there that obviously can beat that doing speed runs, but there are also people that can do it blindfolded.
Oh yeah, you and I were talking about this at lunch when you were here in Columbus. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'll send you the link for it right now. It's absolutely bananas. People that and there's speed runs for it blindfolded. It's the guy that makes them is an incredible person. He makes basically documentaries on speed runs of video games, and it's incredible.
Well, and I'll tell you, I love the retro video games.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody. I was at the Columbus Fury game last night, and one of the hosts on 99.7 The Blitz. We were talking about what were some of the best sports games growing up. Coach K college basketball on Sega Genesis was. I mean, just the games now are so you really can't. I mean, they're difficult to play. I try to play some of them. And it's your score. It's the games are, if it's a basketball game, it's 150. I play my nephews at Madden. I mean, if you can't, I mean, I'm getting my ass kicked, before I could even, hit the button. And they're so hard to play. Now, the old games, anybody had a chance. It was an even playing field. The games
like
nowadays are not,
Yeah. There's I guess a couple things I want to ask you about. How do you feel about the Logan Paul Mike Tyson fight? And who would you bet on?
Gosh. I think, you never can count Mike Tyson out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen the training?
I think it's great. I think Tyson looks like he's in amazing shape.
Yeah, he's a beast still.
I mean, look, George Foreman came back and won the world belt.
Yeah.
So I think it's great that Tyson's jumping back in the ring. And I'll tell you, the Paul brothers, for whatever anybody wants to say about them, they are dedicated to the sports that they are in. Whether it's Logan Paul in wrestling and whether it's Jake Paul in boxing, they do the workout, they do the time, they do take it seriously. And because they take it seriously, they're bringing a whole new generation into both of those arenas who never necessarily might not have been fans, whether it be boxing or wrestling. And they're living out their childhood dreams at the same time. Talk about two guys who are who went from really YouTubers to now almost epic influencers, doing two things that they love, but two things that take incredibly physical discipline in order to participate in.
Yeah, I'm jealous. They're doing things I wish that I could do.
But yeah, Mike Tyson is who I'm going to put my money on.
Same. I have to. Obviously, I'll be perfectly happy to get knocked out by Josh Emmett, but yeah, Mike Tyson fighting him, that'd be a dream. So I will talk to you off camera a bit. We will end it here. BJ, thank you so much for your time. This
Randy,
is great.
as always, man. Hey, I love coming on. I love the VV verse and the family and the community, and I'm looking forward to the future.
Of course, we gotta love get this bread. All right, everyone, say bye-bye to Dashie. Bye-bye, Dashie. I love this game.